Hello guys, Alan here and welcome back to the channel. This is part 6 of our complete plumbing design layout in Revit, and in this episode we are going to be kind of like working towards our we are going to be looking at the cold water supply and also the hot water supply as well. But before we do all of that, we would have to also fix in some floor drains in this washroom area, and then we'll have to also fix in the same floor drain connected somewhere around here in the kitchen as well. It's very important. But before we get started with what we have to do in today's video, if you're watching me and you haven't liked or subscribed to my channel, please do make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. It's going to help me out a lot, so please make sure you guys like and subscribe to my channel. All right, and for your information guys, I've also started a community where I'm kind of like training people up in the Revit software. So if you want to join that community, you should know it's going to come at a fee. So if you want to join that community, you can just send me an email or contact me through any of my socials down below this video. All right, so I'm going to get started with what we have to do in today's video. And before I get started with what we have to do, I'm realizing that this fitting here is not necessarily the right fitting for this connection right here. All right, and same applies to this fitting here as well. All right, you're going to want a Y bend, a Y with a slow bend 45. All right, so this fitting here is not necessarily right, but Revit kind of generated that for me initially. All right, so I'm going to make sure I correct those fittings. Same thing here. I'll need to make sure I correct all of these fittings in here, and the only way I can do that is by loading in some families of those fittings in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to head straight into insert, and when you head straight into insert, just go straight into load family in there. And after getting into load family, you need to go a folder back by just clicking on this icon. All right, and then get straight into English. That's the only way you can get into the metric system. And where I'm going to go now is I'm going to go into pipe. All right, so just make sure you go into pipe, and after getting into pipe, you would want to go into fittings. All right, and when you get straight into fittings, just go into PVC and just go into this folder socket type in there, and we are having all of these fittings in there. All right, so sometimes I usually just want to load up all of those fittings. I usually just like to load up all of these fittings in there, but this is not necessarily something I'm going to need now, but I can just load this in and also load this elbow also in, and also load this also in. All right, and load this also in, and this as well. And with the coupling, I'm not going to use a coupler here in this plumbing series, so I'm just going to load this stuff in. So just make sure you follow the process and just go into pipe, follow those prompts, and then load those fittings in there. I'm going to go back in there again, and I'm going to go this time into the DWV, and this time I'm going to load everything in here. I'm going to make sure I load everything in here into my software, because I might probably need some of them. All right, so I'm just going to load everything inside of my software. It's going to make my file huge, but I don't care. I'm going to load everything inside. Just select them, select absolutely everything. All right, just select absolutely everything, and most necessarily the fitting that you would want to select is the trap. All right, you notice we have here the MP trap. All right, I want to select that, select this, I'm going to select everything, just select everything, and then load all of them up inside of the software. All right, just load them up in the software. It's going to take some time, so just make sure you hold your horses in there. It's just going to take some time to load everything in there. All right, so we're just waiting for that to load in there. Those are going to be very important fittings that we are going to need inside of this series. All right, so I just need to make sure I load those fittings in, and I'll also need to load in an equipment which is going to be our water heater. It's very important I load in a water heater as well, so I'm going to load that also in inside of our file in there. Now everything seems loaded up inside of the file, so I'm going to go into this section right here, and this fitting I have right here, I want to have a Y with a slow 45 bend. All right, So I'm going to click on this fitting in there, and then I'm going to go into my properties panel, click on the drop down menu right there, and then I'm going to make sure I find. So when you place your mouse pointer on it, you're going to have something like a thumbnail in there. Alright, I think this is the right fitting for that. So I'm going to use this one, and perfect. So now you notice this fitting in here works off like it's kind of like directs the flow of the fluid coming all the way from this pipeline. Alright, so you notice when it gets here, it's kind of like takes a bend with this one, so it doesn't just hit this pipe all the way here just by coming in straight. It's kind of like takes a bend and then joins with this line in there. So this is the right fitting you need for this connection. Alright, so I'm going to select this, and I'm going to change this to also that fitting right there, because I want it to come slope and then join with that. Alright, so this is also perfect, and I'm going to do the same thing for this as well. So you can change the fittings if you want. If you find maybe some of the fittings not being the right type of fitting that you want, you can just come in there and just change it. Alright, so with this as well, I'm going to want to change this to that fitting right there. Let me see what they have also in here. Alright, this one, they have the long bend Y. I'm not going to use that one. And with this one works off. Let me see all of these. I'm not going to need this. I'm not going to need this. And let me see how this works. Alright, so let me just change that fitting to just what we have been using earlier on. Alright, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select everything here, and I'm going to delete them. Alright, just make sure you select everything there and delete them. I know you guys don't have the file I'm actually using to work now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to select every stuff that I mirrored in here and just delete them. I'm going to do the mirror when I'm completely done with everything that I have in here. Then I'll just mirror everything to the other side, since I have the same kind of design layout also here. Alright, so I'm going to get started with pipe work, but this time I'm going to load in a floor drain as well. So I need a floor drain, so I'm going to go back in here and get back, and go back again. And I'm also going to need some valves. Alright, so we have several types of valves. We have the globe valve, butterfly, gauge valve, and all of those valves in there. So I'm going to also need some valves, and I'm going to need some non-return valves. Alright, those are the backflow preventers. They are not going to allow, let's say if we have our cold water coming off, it's not going to allow the water that is going to enter into the fitting go back, especially when you are using a pump. You guys are going to understand that when we get into the cold water system. Alright, so I'm going to go back. I'm not going to load that in now. I'm going to go into accessories, and let me see what I have in there. Pressure gauge, I'm not going to need this for now. And I'm going to go back again, and I'm going to go into plumbing and go into MEP, and I'm going to go into equipment, water heater, and I'm going to load in this water heater right here. So just click on that and then load that water heater into your file. If you're working on the file and just following the same process as I'm using to work in here, just make sure you load in your water heater. That's how you can load in that water heater right there. And with this time I also need a floor drain as well. So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go into fixtures, and with this I'm going to need a floor drain. So I'm going to go into drains, and we have the roof drain, which we are obviously going to need, and we are also going to need a floor drain as well. So I'm going to load these two also inside. Just hold down your control key and select all of them and just load them in. Alright, so now we have our floor drain loaded in, and also our roof drain also loaded up in the software. I'm going to go into the 3D view and see what I have, and we are going to place in the floor drain. So we are going to start off, we will need to cut off a section. Alright, so with the floor drain, I'm going to just do the floor drain for just this bath area. I'm just going to put the floor drain in there. Let me go straight into the AutoCAD file and see what we have in here. So we have one floor drain here and one floor drain here. So this is also a washing machine in there. Okay, so I have a floor drain here, one here, but I'm just going to do it for just the space. Alright, so you guys get the understanding of how so you guys can get the understanding of how these floor drains are being designed in Revit. All right, so I'm going to go back into my Revit file in there, get back in my Revit file, and I'm going to cut a section. I already have that section here, so I'm going to put it somewhere here. All right, and I'm going to drop in my floor drain. So I'm going to go into systems, and I'm going to go into fixtures, and in here we have the M round floor drain, and we have those several types. All right, let me check to see if that is what I have in there. So this is the floor drain I have in here, the 50 millimeter. We have the 50 millimeter 180 drain. We have the 125. So you can select the particular type that you want, and you can also actually make changes to it if you want in the course of the video. Maybe you want to make the strainer much bigger and just leave it at 50. So you can actually make all of those changes after selecting it. So I'm going to select this floor drain in there, and you notice here with the placement, all right, it's set to place on face. We definitely don't want to place that on face. We want to place that on the plane, all right, just on the floor. So we'll need to select place on face in there, and with the floor drain I'm going to want to place it. Let me see how I did that in the AutoCAD. Okay, just right at the center, but this time I want to put it somewhere around in the corner. All right, somewhere around in the corner, an open space right here. This is perfect for me, and then just escape out of there. All right, so we have this floor drain in here, and we need to connect that to this pipeline. Like I said earlier on in the previous part, you notice all of this, my pipelines are not being connected on the same line. The WCs have a different line, and then the wash and basins and the sink also have a different pipe connection. All right, that is because sometimes some engineers have discovered that we tend to have the gases inside of the WC's pipeline. They tend to smell and come all the way through maybe our kitchen sinks and the wash and basins, and it makes the area smell. Even though we have the trap systems inside of the WC, and we have some trap systems also inside of the wash and basins, the sink, and then the bathtubs as well. It's very, very important that you kind of like separate those lines. I've seen several plumbing drawings that they just use the same line, right? Everything is being connected to the same line and discharge out of the building, which I do not find that advisable. So just make sure you kind of like separate those lines. Have two separate lines for the WC and also the soil waste as well. So the waste should be different, and then the soil waste should also be different. All right, so I'm going to start off with my floor drain. So I'm going to go into my section in there and then see how that floor drain is coming off. So you notice I have this floor drain in here, and we need to draw this out and then create that trap system in there for it. All right, so I'm going to select it, click on that out pipe in there, and it's going to come out. All right, so make sure slope is off. With the diameter is set to 50. I'm fine with that. Since I'm in the section, I can just probably just click anywhere I want, come all the way here, and I can go all the way somewhere around here. Now I'm trying to form a trap system for this WC we have, this fitting we have in here. So you guys are going to get that in a second. So I'm going to go all the way up. 50 millimeter is too big, and let me just cancel out of there. Let me delete all of these, delete all of them, select it again, and let me see if I can change that. All right, so you can still escape, select it, get into edit type and see. So with the pipe diameter is set to 50, I can change that to probably 40 if I want. Okay, let me just leave that at 50 for the moment. I'm going to leave that at 50. All right, and I'm going to draw out that pipe. I'm going to bring this out a little bit. 200 is fine. Bring this somewhere here, and bring this somewhere here. And now after bringing this somewhere here, now I can send this out. Okay, so I did a mistake. I didn't change that to PVC. So let me select this out pipe, and I'm going to change this to plastic PVC. All right, so this is perfect for me. And 50 millimeter is too big. I need to change the diameter of this. Let me change this to like 50. Right, so just come down all the way somewhere around here, and then get up all the way somewhere around here, and then get up here, and then come down here. All right, so we're kind of like creating a trap system for this pipe you see right here. So I'm going to bring this down all the way here. So this trap system is the P trap. All right, so you notice we have this P trap system in here. But one thing I can also do is I can actually create the family for this trap system. So let me just kind of select all of these in there and just delete all of them for the moment. Let me delete all of them and then try and draw this out again. I'm going to change this to about 40 millimeter, and I'm just going to maintain that 50. Bring this somewhere here and bring this here and then bring this down. All right, so now you guys are going to wonder, I've not created that trap system in there. I'm going to do that in a second. So I just want to bring this down a little bit, and perfect. Let me head into the 3D view and see what I have. Okay, so this is that floor drain right there. So that is that floor drain right there, taking all the way, coming all the way down, and then I'll need to join this with this pipe right here. Let me get into the ground floor plan and see what I can do. So that's the elbow, and just select that, hit on the tab key. Let me get into the 3D view, and I'm going to want to create a section also somewhere around there. All right, so just CS on your keyboard, and then we're going to create that. Let me first of all create that section in there, section, and I'm going to create a section somewhere around here, and I'm going to change that view. This is perfect. Just double click in there, and we have this in here. All right, so this is perfect by me, and we have this floor drain here. I'm going to change this to fine, and this is perfect. All right, so now I'm going to create that pipe as well. So create similar on your keyboard, and we want to slope down with this pipe. We'd want to slope down, select right here, and then we'll draw this pipe somewhere around here. All right, so this is perfect. Let's head into the 3D view. Let's see what we have, and let me just tilt my view a little bit. Let me tilt my view. So this is that pipe right here. This is that pipe right here. I can bring this down a little bit. Just make sure you bring it down a little bit, because sometimes it's not really going to connect if it's not really aligned to that view. All right, so I need to make sure it's also sloping as well. Is this sloping? Is this sloping in there? I think it is. So let me get back in here, click on that, and you notice it's sloping in there. Right, this is perfect. Let me check this one also. It's probably the same slope. All right, so this is, I hope this is not going inside of this pipe. It's going inside of this pipe. All right, so what we can do is we can actually join it with this pipe to flow in there. So let me get back into the ground floor plan and just move this up a little bit and then join it with this one. All right, so it's now being joined with this one, and I'm definitely going to change it to the fitting I used when we started. I kind of like changed to that fitting in there. All right, so this is perfect. So this is going to come down, flow, and then the floor drain is also going to come down, flow, join with this pipe, and then move all the way out in there. So this is how I'm going to work with this floor drain in here. Now I'm going to go into the section view, and then I need to create a trap system for this. This is not working like a trap system. All right, this is just like coming off, coming down in there. I need to create a trap system. This is coming off. So I want to show you guys how you can actually create that trap system in there. All right, so what you can do is we loaded up all of those families in the beginning of the video. We loaded up some families in there, so I'm going to show you guys how those fittings actually work and how we can create that trap system we want to create, the P trap, if you remember. So I'm going to bring this down, and then I'm going to find that MP trap that we loaded in. All right, that P trap system that we loaded in, I can't find that here. It's fine. All I can do is I can go into pipe fitting also here, and then I can just find that trap system, and perfect. So this is that trap plane P. All right, so this is that trap system we have in here, and I'm going to place this trap system somewhere around here in this view. All right, just make sure you place it somewhere around in this view, and then what you're going to do now is you're going to want to click on it and then double click on it to get straight into the family editor type. All right, to get straight into the family editor. All right, you notice you are now currently in the family editor, and how this M trap fitting was created, how this trap fitting was created. All right, so I'm even going to create a series on family editors and how you can manipulate every kind of families that you have inside of Revit. All right, so now what you want to do now is just make sure you select this fitting in here. Just select that in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the mechanical part type. All right, I'm going to click in here and I'm going to change this to probably an elbow. All right, so you notice in here it's set to a multi-port. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this fitting to an elbow fitting. So Revit should be able to recognize this fitting as an elbow, and then when I go into the file in there, you notice that elbow I had in there like an L. I'm going to change it, and then it's going to pick up with this fitting. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to load into project, and I'm going to override existing, and what we are going to do is we are going to use this right here. So you notice this is the elbow here, so I'm going to just click on it, and then all the elbows inside of Revit is going to be generated here, and then I need to just go and find that trap system, and then it's going to recognize with that, boom, and now we have that trap system created for this floor drain right here. So how perfect is this? So this is how you can get away with all of this. These are just ways and tricks you can actually play around with all of the families inside of Revit. So I'm going to delete this trap system out of there. I'm going to go into the 3D view and just see what we have in here. So you notice we have that trap system here. So water is going to be collected here, which is going to prevent the smell or the gases inside of the pipeline to come all the way into our space. All right, so this is perfect. I've created that trap system in there where we have the P trap coming all the way down, and it joins with this pipeline, and then it moves out in there. All right, so we need to create one more floor drain for the kitchen area, like I said. So with this, I'm just creating one floor drain for this space. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy everything in here. I'm just going to copy everything in here, and I'm going to go into copy. First of all, let me see the arrangements in here. Let me go into AutoCAD, and I'm going to see how all of those stuff were being arranged. Okay, this is perfect. I've seen how all of those stuff are being arranged in there. So I'm going to just copy this floor drain, and I'm going to place it somewhere around here. All right, I'm going to place it somewhere around here. It's fine. Here is fine. I'm just going to place it somewhere around here, and let me go into the 3D view and see what I have in there, what it's looking like. Okay, so this is perfect. And ground floor, let me move my section to see how this is looking like in there, and somewhere around here. All right, so this is perfect. Let me get into the section view. Okay, it's all the way down. I need to make sure I lift it up a little bit and place that on the face. Place that on the face. So I can select this floor drain right here, and our elevation is set to -150. I don't know why that is set up to -150. Just select that, and then we can change this to ground floor elevation from level. We can't actually set that up. It's being locked in here. We can't set this up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete this floor drain, get into ground floor, and just CS on my keyboard to create similar, and then I'm going to place on face. All right, so I'll just select place on face, and I'm going to place that here. All right, somewhere here. This is perfect. And I'm going to delete this connections I have here. Shift on select this one, delete all of them, get back into the section, and this is perfect. So we have that floor drain also here. So I'm going to draw the same connection we did for this. Just bring this somewhere around here, and then I'm going to tilt this somewhere here. And with this, I would want to slope that down also, but with this, I'm just going to tilt this to get into the 3D view and see what I have. Escape out of there and just see what I have here. Alright, so I'm going to go back into the section, create similar in there, and I'm going to move this here to this direction. Alright, I want the slope to be off, bring it to this direction, and then I'm going to bring this down here. Alright, so I'm just going to bring this down somewhere around here, and just bring it somewhere around here. This is perfect. And with this, I'm going to change that to my trap system and change that to the trap system. You just notice we went straight into the family editor, and then we changed that up in there. All right, so I don't want to save changes, but I'm going to select no. Alright, so I'm going to select no for that. I'm going to go into the 3D view and head straight into the ground floor. So I have that pipe coming all the way down here. And with this pipe, I would love to change the diameter to 50 millimeters. I'll have to do that 50 mm pipe in there. With this also, I want to do that 50. I'd want to do that 50. Alright, so just change this to 50. And with the elbow also, we need to delete all of these elbows, and then we'll need to make a different connection for all of these. All right, so just delete all of these bushings in there. All right, those are bushings. So TR on your keyboard and just connect this with this. Let's see, it's not connecting, and delete elements, and this is perfect. All right, so this is perfect for me. This is connecting all the way, coming in there, and perfect for me. All right, so I'm going to go back in here to that section view we have in there and just create similar, and this time I'd want to slope down. I'd want to slope down as well, and I want to bring this pipe somewhere around here. All right, I'm going to go into the 3D view and just tilt my way all the way to where I have that kitchen in there, and just bring it up to that view. So this is that floor drain. It's going to be connected to the kitchen sink as well. So let me just make sure it's kind of like aligned. Bring it down a little bit. This is perfect. Get into the ground floor plan, select this pipe, and then move this here, and then Revit generates that family. So I'm going to change that fitting to the fitting we were using initially. Let me just select it. It didn't change up to that fitting that I want. Alright, this one. Yeah, this is perfect. So it's going to slope and get into that fitting right there. Alright, so let me just tilt my way a little bit, just pan around and just see what that fitting is looking like. So we have our floor drain, we have the trap system coming all the way down. Connect this pipe, moves out here, and then it moves all the way out of this building. Alright, so this is perfect. We've been able to create this for this floor drain as well. We are done with this floor drain also as well. So let's get back into the ground floor plan. So now we've treated our floor drains. We are basically done with everything in terms of our soil and waste. Alright, in terms of the soil and waste, I'm glad we have been able to cover a lot of stuff. We are basically done with a lot of stuff in there. So what we are going to do now is we are going to start off with bringing in our water heater. Alright, so I'm going to bring in the water heater. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into system, and after getting into systems, I'm going to bring in that equipment. So I need to find that water heater in there. So let me go into plumbing fixture and make sure you save your file. Alright, so it's just saving up in there, and perfect. So now let me just scroll all the way down and see if that water heater is going to be here. Alright, it's not here, so I'm going to escape out of there, and I'm going to go into pipe. I'm going to go into pipe accessories, and it says it doesn't have any pipe accessories. Alright, so I'm going to go into mechanical equipment. Alright, so just make sure you go into mechanical equipment, click on that in there, and that is where we have all of those stuff in there. We have a boiler, we have a hot water calorifier in there, and we have the inline pump circulation, and we have the roof drain, and I also have the pump loaded up, and then we have that water heater in there. Alright, so this is our water heater in here. I'm going to click on that water heater, and I'm going to bring it into our design. Alright, just bring it here. I'm going to tilt this somewhere here. Alright, so with the water heater, I would want to place it, I would want to place it somewhere around here. This place is much better. Alright, so I'm going to place it here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select it, and I'm going to give it the offset from the elevation offset. I'm going to set it up at 1500 is fine. I'm going to set it up at 1500. for me is fine, so people can actually make their maintenance in there. All right, so let me go into the 3D view and see how that is coming off. And we have that water heater here, it's set up in here. I feel like it's too long in there. Let me bring in that section. So let me get into the ground floor plan, and I'm going to delete this section DE out of there, and I'm going to bring in my section here. So you notice I'm just playing around with the sections to actually have a better view of how everything is coming off. Alright, because I have a ceiling in there, and you notice it goes into my ceiling. Alright, this is the ceiling I have in here. So I can just select this water heater and I can change the height. Alright, so you can change the height, the voltage, the number of poles, and you can actually set up the connector for that pipe also in there, for the pipe for the cold water supply, and also for that as well. So this in here, we have the height in here. With the height, I'm just going to do that about 800 for the height. I'm going to hit on apply, hit on OK, and this is perfect by me. So we have this in here, and with that connector all the way coming to the top. All right, because it's going to be in the ceiling, so I'm going to want to move this up a little bit. Okay, let me bring this up to about 1800, and 1800 is perfect. All right, so this is perfect because we need to be able to have that inside of our ceiling. Those connectors are going to go into the ceiling, and then they're going to supply all of those stuff we have in there. All right, so I'm going to go into ground floor plan, and then we have this water heater here. So if I should go back into our AutoCAD file in there, you notice we have water heater here. This is the best place you can place them. You need to be able to place them at places where it can be maintained, where maintenance can be where people can actually work on it, and where it's not really covering our space and not getting in the way of anything. That's where you need to place your water heaters in there. All right, so I'm going to put this away. I'm going to go back in here. So now when it comes to Revit creating this water heater system, so with the water heater, I'm not going to give the guest this washroom you see right here is the guest washroom. I'm not going to give the guest washroom any water heater because I don't expect my guests, the people who are going to come into my house, to actually use hot water washing their hands when they use the washroom. All right, so I'm not going to connect my water heater to this. So it's just going to be for the shower and also these two sinks in this main bathroom. As for these two sinks in this main bathroom, I'm going to give them the water heater. So now you guys should also know that Revit can actually generate a layout and connect all of these together for us, which is going to be very fast. All right, instead of us now clicking here, clicking on the water heater, going up and drawing all of them together, Revit can actually create a piping system where it can generate a layout for us. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how that is done, and then we are going to end on the water heater, and then we take off in our next part where we are going to complete our cold water system, and then we move on to the first floor, finish that up quickly, and then we mirror this to the other side, and then we are kind of like done with our plumbing series. And I'll just show you guys some settings and some things you also need to put up. All right, so what you are going to do now is you just make sure you select any of these sanitary fixtures. All right, so just select any of them and go into create system. All right, so you notice in here we have piping, so just select that piping. And what we want to, it's going to ask you which system do you want to create. So of course we want to create the hot water piping system in there, and we are going to call this domestic hot water 1. All right, and we are going to click on OK. All right, now it's set in here, and I'll need to edit that system because I want to add more systems to it. So I'm going to go into edit system, and I'm going to go into add system. So just make sure you click and add all of those systems, and add this one as well inside of your system. Just hold down in there and then just add all of that in your system, and select equipment. I'm going to select the water heater, and I'm going to add equipment in here. This have been added. All right, so perfect. So now you notice all of these are being grayed out. All right, they are being added into our piping system. So if I should hit on the tab key, just select them and then hit on the tab. So what we can also do is we can just make sure we select one of these, all right, and then we go into generate layout, all right, and then we have that layout in there, which is the domestic hot water one. All right, so we can just click on that in there, which is going to generate the layout, and you notice we have this green line in there, which is moving, coming all the way in here, connecting to this, and then this is also going to move, connect to this. All right, so in here we can decide to add a slope if we want, and Revit is just automatically generating the layout for us. So it knows that it's going to come in here, and then it's going to put a T here and supply this, and then hang off and also come and supply this, and then come all the way here and then supply this bath area as well. All right, and it has some layouts also in there. So it has the perimeter layout, and with the network layout you notice it has 4 types. So we can actually check it out and then see the other type. So the other type is it will come here, go here, come all the way here, then supply here. Let me see the other type as well. Also going to come here, supply here. So you need to find the one which is more economical, the one that you are not going to you are not going to cost much more. It's not going to cost you much more money in there. All right, you need to find the one which is kind of like very, very economical. So I just want to go off with all the layouts and see what all that is looking like. This layout is not much economical for me. I don't know. I think the 1 is much more economical. Let me just check. Okay, the 1 and 2 is much more economical. I think I'm going to go with this one. All right, so this one is much more economical for me, and you can actually check out the perimeter and the intersections as well. With the perimeter, it's kind of like going to create a system where they are going to be working on the walls. So those ones do have their type, so you can check out the particular layout that you want, and then when you are done in there you can just click on finish layout, and boom, Revit has generated that layout for us automatically, just like that. Revit has generated that for us, and you notice in here we have, let me go into the section. You notice in here all the hot water pipe works is coming straight into all of those fixtures. All right, so in here you notice it's coming all the way down. Let me just put this pipe back a little bit here and then get into the section. It comes supply all the way here, but with this I would want to set the middle elevation all the way up to, let's say, about 5 meters. It's going to come down. Cancel that and select this, and I'm going to move this up. I want it to go all the way up. All right, I want it to go into the ceiling. All right, this is perfect for me. Just get into the 3D view, and with this also I need to connect that with the ceiling as well. So I can just move this up a little bit because I want them to be inside of my ceiling. All right, inside of the ceiling in there is perfect for me. So just move this somewhere here and just connect that. We are going to be doing a pipe inspection where Revit is actually going to tell us all the places that are actually being lacking all of those pipe fittings. All right, this is perfect for me. I think I'm fine with this. This is also connected to this. This is fine. And we can actually change all of these to PVC if you want, or you can change it to cast iron if you want. All right, so I can change that to PVC, change all of these also to plastic, and Revit just finds a way of generating the particular pipe that is going to be needed for the right place. All right, the right fitting or the right place in there. So I can just select this and then change this to plastic in there. So Revit is just going to generate a particular pipe that is going to be needed for the right place, the right pipe size. And we'll get into pipe sizing also as well. So we have our hot water working inside of our wall, and then it supplies this one as well. So I can move this fixtures all the way into the wall. You need to make sure they are actually inside of the wall. All right, this is perfect. It's inside the wall, and I'm okay with this. I can move this fixture, bring it somewhere here, connect it with that. All right, this is perfect. So our fixture is being set up in here properly. Everything is in the wall and everything is being set up rightly in there. So if I should go into the 3D view, you notice we have our hot water in there. All right, so this is perfect. If I go into the section, it goes all the way into the ceiling. You notice that the ceiling right there, and then it supplies all of those pipe system in there. All right, so this is how you can actually create the pipe system for this hot water layout in there, where Revit kind of generated that for us automatically in there. All right, so we need to also place in one more water heater to actually supply the kitchen as well. We need to supply the kitchen also as well, and I'm going to do that in the next part of this video. All right, so we are going to end here and we are going to take off in our next part, which is going to be our part 7 inside of our plumbing series. I hope you guys have learned something to this very part. If you have anything you want to add, you can actually drop it in the comment section, and I'll do what to respond to each and every one of you guys out there. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I'll catch you guys in the next part. Peace out.
I'm still working real hard on a Saturday. A future I don't see from a mile away.